Next Curve.
Welcome, everyone, to this Next Curve Rethink podcast episode in our Comtech series where we break down the latest tech and industry events and happenings in the world of consumer and commercial tech into the insights that matter. And I'm Leonard Lee, executive analyst at Next Curve. And in this episode, I am joined by my good metaversy virtual friend and fellow analyst, Prakash Sangam, who is the principal analyst at Tantra Analyst, to talk about Apple Vision Pro and the Samsung Galaxy XR headset, which came out a few months ago. Prakash, hey, how's it going?
Great to meet your metaverse avatar, Leonard. Yeah. And this is kind of the epitome of the metaverse vision many people thought they would be in by this time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not to be, And you're on your Vision Pro, and I'm on my Galaxy VR headset, XR headset. So,
yeah. We're cross-platform. We're cross-platform here on Zoom, and so yes. And might I say, you look quite dashing in your metaverse self.
At least my avatar is dashing.
Same
if
here.
I'm not in person,
My real life persona at the moment needs to brush its teeth. But anyway.
So you can, man.
Yeah, but before we get started, please remember to like, share, react, and comment on this episode. Also, subscribe here on YouTube and on Buzzsprout to listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Opinions and statements by my guests are their own and don't reflect mine or those of Next Curve. We're doing this to provide an open forum for discussion and debate on all things consumer and commercial tech. And this is probably one of the most exciting areas, probably underrated areas of consumer and, dare I say, commercial tech. Over the years, because we saw limited success on the consumer side, there was a pivot toward, positioning XR as an enterprise thing. But I think Apple started something really interesting and started to pursue a direction I call immersive reality versus XR and MR. It's a different breed of experience that's more rooted in reality versus the virtual stuff. But now we have Samsung in a consortium or a collaboration with Google and Qualcomm coming out with this really cool device, which is the Samsung Galaxy XR. And I know that you received a trial unit. I haven't. I have no idea why. And I'm going to give Samsung a hard time for that. Are you guys afraid of what I'm going to say about your product? I would have figured I would be one of the first people that they would send a unit to, but I'm going to have to rely on your expert assessment and evaluation of the product. So, let's start this off with let me know what you think, man.
Indeed, and I'll rely on your expertise for the Vision Pro. I used it and tested a couple of times, but I don't own one. So, good. And also I think the whole XR thing, I think there's a lot of value there for sure. I think the overhyping kind of did a disservice to it, in my view. There's a lot of value, there's a lot of use cases, there's a lot of benefits of it. But overhyping, they're saying that everything will be metaverse, like people talk like we are doing now. I mean, it's cool, but I really don't see a huge value in, instead of we talking with our real self, talk on with our avatars, right? I mean, it looks cool and feels cool and it's funny and such, but I don't know if there is, people would pay thousands of dollars just to do this, right? So, and I agree with you that there is tons of stuff happening, and there's tons of stuff yet to happen on XR, and it's an exciting market and technology, and has a lot of promise and benefits and value for sure.
Yeah, and I think you're making a really good point about the hype. It was so exaggerated, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
folks don't recall because now we're deep in the AI hype cycle, generative AI hype cycle.
Yeah.
But we have to remember how hyped Metaverse was.
Indeed.
It was incredibly hyped. Actually, almost to this level of what we're
Yeah.
experiencing with generative AI. And I know that one of the tropes in the XR world these days is, metaverse is about AI. I don't entirely agree with it. I think it has a role, but I think it
Mm-hmm.
has an ancillary augmenting role. The core of what I see still, and I've had a Vision Pro for now going on 3 years, so I'm probably one of the more experienced analysts out there who actually knows what it is to live with these things on a daily basis, has explored different use cases with it. I've even tried gaming with it. I'm never been a proponent or that much of an advocate of the gaming aspect for XR, just because you're trying to solve one of the more difficult problems, which is the human physiology and dissonance issues that are caused by XR gaming experiences. But I don't know. What are you playing games with the Galaxy XR headset?
Let me start with saying that I am not a gamer, big time gamer, but I did a
Yeah,
couple of them. My son plays
sure.
and my daughter plays, and just for the experience, I tried. I mean, I think when you talk about immersive, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, the experience is, I definitely think it's a level above if you're playing without the glasses with the regular screen.
yeah,
And I think there is definitely a use case, and I mean there is enough demand as well for VR XR games for sure. So
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And but I'm not a gamer, so my views are based on whatever limited experience I had. But I
yeah.
see, of course, tons of. I think, in my view, it has. I know I'm writing a review. Will come out in a few days. I think this is an excellent media consumption device, which is
Yeah,
highly
agree.
personalized
Mhm.
in all aspects, highly immersive. I don't think there's anything like this in the world, and I know, like any XR headset, that way, that will give you such a great immersive content consumption experience for period, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
there are some initial use cases on the enterprise business side. But I think the challenge, in my view, is not technology for XR as a whole. It's two things. One is content, for sure. I mean, it is a great
yeah,
content consumption device, but there is breadth of content. Even if you go on the catalogs of
mm,
videos or movies, it is
mm.
so hard to find 3D content. Even
Yeah.
discovering
Good,
it is
good,
very hard,
good
right?
stuff. Most
Yeah,
of it is really bad.
yeah. Whatever people, some tacky stuff. I mean, YouTube has a few stuff, people's experience and such,
Yeah,
but there is dearth of content where there'll definitely be need and the demand for it. For example,
yeah,
movies and videos
yeah,
and such. Movies, I mean, I tried really hard to find 3D movies on many platforms. Earlier, for some time, some time ago, they used to list. You were
yeah,
able to easily find 3D movies, right? Now it's almost impossible. You have to basically know whether there is a
yeah,
3D version of that movie or not, and then try to find it, and it's very hard to discover it. So
yeah,
definitely there
yeah.
is, and dearth of content is one. And second, when it comes to enterprise use cases, I mean,
Uh-huh.
they've been talked about quite a lot. I've seen
Yeah.
demos and such at the events for few of them, which makes sense. But again, the software development ecosystem, the enterprise ecosystem is seriously lacking to take advantage of this. So it's a great product. Of course, when Vision Pro it was ahead of time. Galaxy XR came a little bit later. I think it's still a little bit ahead of time, but it is setting a platform for more stuff to come. I guess it's not there yet for sure.
And that's one of the things that I've highlighted as being one of the advantages that Apple has in this game. This is not XR. This is not your prototypical XR strategy, because one of the things that Apple did very early on is make their creative tools conducive to content creation for Vision Pro. A lot of people don't understand or know this because there's a fixation on gaming content and applications as being where all the killer stuff is. Actually, to your point, and this is something I've been saying forever. This is a content consumption tool, but it creates new experiences that you've never seen before. Like, I know that you watched Cricket in 3D, VR 180 3D, right? So
it was not tier one. I mean, it was, I basically, the live was not VR 180, right? The live event, it was not. I mean, I basically watched it like a IMAX with large screen with, on 2D still. And then I took some of the clips and then, converted him into 3D and watched them. And it's like really awesome. Right? So,
Well, see, I mean, but even that's kind of cool. And demonstrates the possibilities of what these progressive or more advanced immersive reality experiences are like. So Apple recently, now I think it's the NBA actually, that is now providing immersive media footage, broadcast footage. I actually just watched the game last night between the Lakers and the Clippers, where I mean, you're literally there, courtside, under the basket.
When you look at 3D and
incredible,
you enlarge it. I mean, if you look at, this is what I would experience during 3D. I had a 3D television, right? If you watch content on 3D television, it was more like you are watching stuff. 3D from a small window, right? Because it was not immersive, because it's not large enough. But this is like your 3D in IMAX, right? It's basically you are in it, and then if the original content itself is in 3D, then you check around, you go on the stage, you look at different views and such. Another thing I would like to point out at the front end is the biggest usage, or the largest amount of time I spent on using this Galaxy XR headset is basically reliving my past. What I mean by that? I look at all of my photos and videos. Not all, but most of them are on Google Photos, right? So. And there are tools that you could basically make immersive and make them 3D on Google Photos with Google VR, right? So when you go there, I mean, it was like almost reliving, the birthdays of my kids, some events like that. I mean, I spend most amount of time basically going through my photo and video album, watching them in immersive and watching them in 3D. So I was not sure, and it's like $2,000 device, whether it's worth it, because there is dearth of content for sure. But you are of my age, right? Probably you're same as mine, and there are tons of memories we never had time to go back, right? So I would pay $2,000 to basically really all of my old memories, right? And as if you're there, right? So that's my. If you take one takeaway from my experience, that's one takeaway. It's worth paying for reliving your memories.
Right. And that was actually a while back when Meta was collaborating, or Lenovo was collaborating with Meta on this. They had they were doing a lot of stuff on that end. They had you know 3D capture, VR
Yeah.
180
Yeah.
cameras and all kinds of devices to capture memories. What they hadn't at that time was exactly what we were talking about, where you can convert 2D images to 3D. But the experiences are amazing, right? Especially if you take
Yeah.
video, 3D immersive video live. Like, for instance, I have young children, so this is
Yeah.
really special for me because
Yeah.
I can wear my Vision Pro and I can record video and footage of my daughter or my son playing on my lap, talking to me, and then it's literally when you replay that media, it's like that you can touch them. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think this is like
sure.
a sensation that people don't realize, having passively used the device in a 30-minute demo, right? Looking at a dinosaur.
Right.
And
yeah, and also you could use phones to capture 3D and spatial video and audio, right? I mean, that's where then especially if you look at spatial audio, it can connect at least Galaxy XR probably with your Vision Pro as well. If you have Galaxy Buds, you can really get spatial audio even with your phone. So capture it with the phone and then transfer it into 3D and watch it on XR.
Which is pretty phenomenal. It transposes really well. But also, I mean, and that's one of the advantage. I mean, I think, I have to tell you that Apple is way ahead of Samsung. The price point doesn't matter. The ecosystem is much more, it's deeper and it's richer than, because they've invested in it, right? I mean, there was a lot of folks making fun about it.
I do. I mean, of course, we always debate, right? So I don't believe that the price point doesn't matter. I mean, if it is a $3,000, $4,000 device, right, which Pro is, probably more than 90% of the people don't even get to check it out before they decide whether it's worth it or not. So I think price matters, but also price for the experience you're getting matters. So if you use a cheapo XR headset and you don't like the experience, then you basically you make your mind right. It's not worth even spending that much amount, right? So I think the balance between performance, price, and experience matters, and I think of course,
absolutely.
I think the Galaxy, Samsung has done a great job balancing them. Keeping it under 2,000 while still providing extremely good experience on the headset. I think that's it's a good plus for Samsung in my view.
But I think the thing that is really differentiating in the experience is the live performance, live sports experiences, because I'll tell you right now, the NBA now they're introducing F1. So it's not just the headset; it's the whole infrastructure of content creation and experiential capture. And this is where Apple's really leading. They have that deep collaboration and partnership with Blackmagic Design. This is something I cover in my the media side of my research. It's very profound. And so the fact that they've already achieved a degree of broadcast capability with the new generation of immersive media, cameras is actually pretty remarkable. And then when you think about the networking aspect, the compute aspect, and what it takes to actually generate and then broadcast and distribute this kind of content, these are areas that Apple has clearly invested in already through their infrastructure as well. And these are areas where Samsung and the rest of Google and Qualcomm are going to have to invest tremendously in. And this is something that has been completely discounted in any of the stuff that I've seen out there around the talk about Vision Pro. Most of it has been predominantly focused just on the device, and there's so much more happening here. But it's good to see that there is competition, that Qualcomm in particular is taking their SoCs and their technologies in investments in XR and enabling a lot of what Google and Samsung are able to do on the software and the end market device perspective,
And I mean, like it's like classic Apple versus Google or Android ecosystem, right? Like in smartphones or anywhere else, right? It's basically a collaborative approach. Apple basically being end to end, and it can invest in the front end and do the stuff that you mentioned. But for Android, it is always a collaborative effort. But whether that gives edge to Apple, maybe it's like any end-to-end system.
No, it gives them an edge. I mean, there's always this debate of whether or not it gives Apple an edge. They're making a profound investment beyond the device. This is what we always see them do when they build a new ecosystem. But it's also the thing that almost no one tunes into when they're doing it. And I think that's, the reality is, also we're looking at Apple on their second generation. I'm on the first generation, which is 3 years old, which I think the Galaxy XR is kind of on
the
par
first
with
generation.
that.
Correct.
Right?
Not necessarily. I think it's still, if you look at spec-wise, I don't know the experience, right? But spec-wise, it is more comparable to the second generation rather than the first. If you look at number of sensors, weight is, I think, similar. And this is Galaxy XR is a little bit lighter in terms of processing capabilities, performance, and such. I think they are, let me say this, for the use cases and the content there is out there on which you use these devices, they are pretty similar. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Apple has a lot of the other on the infrastructure side to create content and such. And I definitely believe if the Android ecosystem has to compete with Apple, they have to invest in creating content for this device for sure, right? No question about it. And then the question will be whether the content like the NBA that you mentioned that Apple create, will that only be for Apple devices? If I'm NBA, maybe I would look at, maybe if I come up with a content strategy that addresses much wider population across platform, maybe that's what will be they'll do in the future. Maybe initially when they're trying out, it might just be specific to Apple.
Yeah, I think there's a massive underappreciation of what Apple and its partnerships have done in this space, where everyone else has been absent. So I think, where the level, I mean, I've witnessed it, I've seen it. I've been, it's been part of my research that I've been monitoring. And so, based on my understanding, or I've already published, this is not a trivial effort. Licensing, I don't know. Maybe they'll be able to do it. The bottom line is that Apple is definitely in the forefront on the content side, shaping what immersive media is going to look like. And but the thing is it's good that Samsung is getting in this game. The thing is it raises the bar on content, because this stuff is not the same as what we've seen before. In terms of technically what's required from an infrastructure and tooling perspective, what's needed. For instance, Apple has immersive media production capabilities in Final Cut Pro, also motions, and all these other tools, professional grade tools that they now, I mean, provide almost for free now. And then
You still have to buy the Apple device. You pay. I mean, nothing is free, right? There's no free lunch. You
well,
pay
I mean, you still have to pay.
device.
You still have to pay for a PC, so or whatever. And
But
then the phones themselves, they support native, immersive media capture, right? The iPhone has spatial video as well as photography.
Yeah, I mean, same with Google, a lot of more modern Android devices, right? Of course, all of
Do they?
Samsung. Yeah, of course. Anything I think later than Galaxy 23 has. You basically you can record 3D audio and video, spatial audio and video on a phone, and watch that on XR. 100%. Yeah, try that. It looks great. So
okay, I haven't tried it yet. What's the app called? Is it native to the? Because they never talk about it. They never talk about it.
Yeah, so on Galaxy, that's another pet peeve of mine with XR is, on phones and other things, there are tons of content if you want to check out something, find out something. With XR, a lot of things you have to basically try it yourselves to find out, right? And you have to do a lot of searching. I mean, that's where the value we are adding, I guess, to this thing. So you have to download a camera assistant from Galaxy Store. That basically with that basically, and with that, when even in your regular camera mode on your phone, there is a button that appears which basically makes it a 3D spatial audio and video recorder. And this was also pointing. So if you use spatial audio on a phone is limited, right? It's limited by how many speakers do you have, and it is of course a 2D device. You can actually use, if you have Buds Pro 2 or higher, I think Galaxy Buds. You can connect them and then collect even better spatial audio with them when you're using the when you're doing shooting 3D video or stuff like that.
And in terms of differentiation,
correct. That's another. That's another. I mean, from a consumer point of view, this was, I'm sure I've told you many times. I'm not sure. I mean, I was on the edge of buying Vision Pro. I could have bought it for review and other purposes, but my always thinking was, if I'm an average consumer, who has money to spend on these things, of course, right?
Yeah.
Would I invest close to 4,000 on Vision Pro?
It's pretty much 4,000. Don't kid yourself. It's not cheap.
So and then will I get enough value for spending that much? And I could never decide on buying because I did not see it, right? So that's of course half the price makes it much easier for you to buy. And then another value add is basically you not only can relive your previous memories, going forward you can make today's memories for your future when you get older, when you get a lot of gray hair like me, much more immersive, much better than they are right now, right? So and that's where that's where the ecosystem comes into play, where you can use the phones and the other devices to record it in a nicer way. So my point is, if you look at most of the things that we are talking about, it's about content consumption on the device, right? So
pretty much,
that's basically 90% of the usage right now, I guess. Right now,
but it's not. It's not just any kind of content. That's the thing that I think people need to understand. It's a very different kind of content that delivers a different kind of experience. And so, again, I think this is where the industry has been misguided for years, thinking that XR is the holy grail for XR was gaming. It's the thing is it's proven not to be the market to drive XR. But this reminds me of when they came out with DV camcorders back in the day, and they cost back in those days $3,000. In today's dollar is probably $6,000. I actually bought one very early on, and it changed everything. And the camcorders went from this big to this big.
This big handhelds, right? They were shoulder mounted to handheld. I bought as well. This is, I mean, the first camcorder I bought was a Sony, of course, was in when 98. 99, I think. So, and those are the videos and the pictures I'm reliving right now with XR. Right?
So, right, exactly.
With the Galaxy XR headset,
Right. And, we're at that phase for that type of consumer device. And I think, with the entry, it's great that Samsung is coming up with what you might call a more reasonably priced offering. And I think there's a long way to go with this, that maybe we'll start to get appreciated again when people actually experience what the new experience or immersive experiences, especially with the sports stuff. I mean, the NBA, oh, wow. I mean, there's nothing like being at every game courtside. It's like and it's free, or all you have to do is pay for at least. It's not totally free. You have to pay for an NBA
somebody has to pay for it somewhere.
But you know what? It's great. I'm just waiting for a Major League Baseball. I'm sure I have heard NHL is going to come out with it, but they're just trying to figure out where to put the cameras. Right. But then the cameras are getting smaller. So the possibilities.
So I mean, talking about cricket, right? So they actually in a typical cricket ground, these are huge stadiums, right?
Yeah.
Which house up to 100,000 folks. Even there, they basically have pulleys, and then the cabling across the stadium, where the just like indoor stadiums with the cameras hanging. And then they remotely manage them they can actually even read what people are, when two players are talking, they can basically zoom into the lips and read. So they really, really close, right? So, and then in cricket, there are stumps, and then the umpires or the referees are standing still. So I think cricket has a lot more opportunity, to make it immersive with XR. So I hope somebody's thinking about it. It's a good business opportunity if somebody's looking for one.
I think it's probably going to have to go with markets where you're going to get enough people who can afford a Vision Pro or a Samsung XR headset, and then for premium sports experiences. And I think F1 is going to definitely be one. NBA is fantastic. MLB could be really cool, but I think soccer, I've seen some demos.
So soccer is also right.
Football.
High intensity games. So you especially if you're taking a penalty kick or penalty corner or something like that. I mean, watching from different angles, I think there'll be lots of interest. And maybe we should also talk about, when you're ready, about the enterprise side of this story as well. Right?
I'm still seeing, limited applications. I know that there was a pivot toward that, but I was never really bought too much into the enterprise because, like you rightly mentioned, content is difficult to produce. And this is mostly suitable for what you would call, more of like consumer content consumption. The enterprise side can be a little bit trickier if you're outside of some very niche use cases in terms of 3D CAD design. Maybe there's some, but there's nothing that has proven to be super scaled out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like a catch-22. I think that's, of course, there is a cost involved in it, and it's not enough content. If you want to bring it to enterprise, somebody has to do the full end-to-end work and then take it to enterprises and try to sell it, which is, high risk. Probably if metaverse had, continued for the hype, continued for a little long, people might have invested in it and then would have tried to look at utilizing that investment through enterprise, but that didn't happen. So I think enterprise. I see a lot of opportunity. Few things, like even with the existing setup that we have, for folks who are looking at dashboards all the time. I mean, XR headset is like a infinite screen, right? You can have so many windows simultaneously looking at it and so on. So that is very low hanging fruit. And then training, I've heard people talk about. I try to talk to few enterprises. Somehow tried it. Again, all comes back to we tried it. We liked some of the things. I mean, everybody mentions about Walmart using it for training its retail, customer representatives and so on, employees and so on. Yeah, there is some usage, but I think again it goes back to, is there enough content? Obviously not, right? For somebody to start using it, you basically have to, if you want to use it, you have to do the full end-to-end work yourself. You basically have to define it, develop the content, and give it to enterprises, which only large enterprises can do, right? That is a stumbling block. And also, that's another major difference between Vision Pro and Galaxy XR is the controllers, right? So with controllers, I mean, I saw a couple of use cases wherein you teach folks on how to operate machinery or stuff like that with precision controllers before they actually go on to do the real thing, right? And if you're doctors, your initial training on some surgery and stuff like that, obviously this is not the end of it. But it gives the initial break-in phase of in many of these things, like working on a very expensive machine. You don't want to learn through your mistakes on expensive machine. You would rather do them here. So I see potential for it, but all of them requires right now tons of content development from concept to actual commercialization, and there isn't enough investment going on. So if Apple and Google, Samsung and Qualcomm wants to make it a major business, I think the technology of the headset, we are at a stage where it is good to take it to enterprises, right? I think the effort and the investment should be more on creating that content to make use of this device rather than just keep improving the device itself, in my view.
Well, I think, I mean, the device is very, very good in terms of quality. I know that the AVP is, but I'm sure that the Galaxy XR headset is as well. If I ever get a chance, I can prove it. But, the thing is, I think for remote operations, there's potential there. So if you wanted to look out, scale out, opportunities, maybe, AVPs will find, and, the Google headsets will find use in military applications. Who knows? I mean, it seems like that defense tends to be an area where these it's where these technologies are originated from, and applications is from defense. But and that could be a large scale application, even for industrial applications, right? Because increasingly, we hear about these autonomous vehicles and robots and stuff. Most of them are actually remotely controlled devices. And then your point about controllers, being able to have those for remote operations, I think opens up new possibilities, as especially as people start to settle back that, hey, look, autonomous XYZ may not be what we really need. What we need is remote operations in, let's say, dangerous environments like a mine or mining operations or what have you. And this is where like connectivity becomes important, but and then that really forces you to rethink what connectivity infrastructure should be. But the other is just a really weird thing, man. It's working from home. I use this. If I were to ask myself, what do I actually use this for in business? Is productivity. Is just, but while you're chasing your kid around or you're trying to handle other things, you can have windows up, or you can be listening to things and then draw things up and perform productivity tasks in some of the oddest but very convenient situations. And I think there's value in that. You know what I'm saying? But it tends to be these really weird, strange use cases that are not familiar for anyone, because guess what? They've never actually lived with these devices before, tried to figure out how they can get value out of them for, let's say, productivity.
So I mean that there goes my point about it's if you make it so expensive that people will not even try it, how are they going to experience it, look at it and look at applications, come up with applications and so on. And in terms of productivity, I agree with you. I use a large screen and a small screen at my home office setup. I mean, this is I tried spending a day on it. I would say I'll not spend the whole day wearing it for sure. But, if you are an extreme multitasking and you have to look at multiple windows, a good example I thought myself is if you're a stock trader, you have to look at 20 different windows at the same time, try to correlate them and such. This would be a perfect device, right? And when I'm doing working on some slides or how to have multiple windows up, I tried maybe I used it more specific for specific use case and applications, but not as a I'll come in the morning, wear this all day for my productivity work for sure. But if I'm multitasking or with different windows, sure, I used a couple of times. Yes. And another thing I wanted to highlight is, I've tried a lot of headsets, not as much as XR, but I always had this issue. If something is pushing against my face for some reason, maybe it's my personal, I'm ready to take it off. As soon as I want to. That's the reason, although I have reading glasses, I'm trying to still manage with larger fonts, with other things and so on. I don't wear reading glasses at all because I hate putting anything on my in front of my eyes, pushing my head. Right. So, but here with this, I was expecting the same thing. Maybe I'll try it. Maybe I cannot keep it for long. But I was surprised. It doesn't feel heavy at all to me. I've heard and I've experienced and heard a lot of people saying the Vision Pro feels front heavy. This one, because this kind of sits, most of the weight goes on the forehead. It is not pushing it hard against your face. One, and weight is not on your head. Weight is on the forehead, which is on the on your skull. So I don't feel that heavy at all. And a good simile is I hike a lot. So when you carry a backpack, right, hiking backpack, it's interesting that the weight of that pack, it could be like 30-40 pounds, goes on, if you fit it well, goes on your backbones, and not backbones, but the bones of your hips rather than your shoulder. Right? It's similar to that analogy, right? So I found that something that is unique to this headset that I had not experienced with others before, which you're like more pressing onto your head, and I'm ready to take it off as soon as I can. No, you're right, and it's pretty cool that. And you're right. The Vision Pro has that problem. The new
dual net band though, it's pretty cool, and it improves the situation quite a bit, even though, and so it allows you to take a lot of the pressure off of the front, put it more close to the top of your head or your forehead, the very top of your head or the dome. And so, there's a lot of advantages to this new head system. But hey, cool. Well, we didn't talk a lot about AI, which is which is fine, because I really, I'm not bought into this XR. AI is the key to XR. I barely use AI. I could care less about it being personalized.
Right now, at least it is more ancillary. For example, like we are starting the recording and such, you can do a lot of stuff, with your voice commands, right? You don't want to use your hands and such. I think that's where I feel it is useful. If I'm searching something, the typing on this thing is excruciating, right? I hate typing anything here. That's where I think, most of the time I ask Gemini to do stuff on me, stuff on the headset rather than me typing. So that's where I definitely see usage of AI, translation, live translation, and others that Samsung keeps talking about. I see value in those situations, like if we are on a podcast, but we both speak English, but we bring in somebody from, say, China, Korea, who doesn't speak that much of English. Maybe those kind of scenarios, it's useful.
It's so niche. It's so not
correct.
and that's the problem. When you make something that's not important the most important thing, then you lose the message, and then you get distractions, and you position the product. One thing I'll say that Apple has done a terrible job at is marketing and positioning. I've never seen them do such a horrible job with any product in my life that I've witnessed them just completely flop on the, really helping consumers understand the value. And you tuned into it. That's the thing. You tuned into it. And these guys haven't figured it out, or they haven't bothered to tell that story. It's almost like they don't know what they're doing.
It's not only Apple problem. I think it's a whole XR problem. I think the hype of XR, the metaverse, created that you could do. There's so much of enthusiasm and interest. But after it dropped, people looks like even are worried about talking more about it nowadays. It seems, right? For using it, this is my first this kind of a headset that I owned. I used the earlier ones when Galaxy VR came in earlier, and the Go and such. But to do anything on it, you have to find out yourself, do research, try a few things to find out. That is not. There is definitely dearth of course, content, but even use cases, more information, how to use it more effectively, and so on. Of course, there are YouTube videos and such. I'll give a simple example. Connecting this to a PC. There are a couple of ways of doing it. One, if you have a Samsung laptop, you can use it PC Link, which is a Samsung specific ecosystem feature. You can connect to a phone as well, of course. I'm sure it's same with Vision Pro. But you can also connect it to any Windows PC. Google came up with a software that basically you have to download onto your laptop. It's called PC Connect, and then that basically gets all the display, PCB display on your headset. It is so hard to find that the link to download that software on the PC, right? So you search everywhere. All that you get is basically a link to the Google Android store to download it onto a headset. But you basically get the link when you open that application on the phone, on your headset. It gives you a link. You go there and then get it. So
okay.
And then so
it's good that you're writing about this stuff to help people have a better experience, but more importantly, understand the value of these new devices, but more importantly, the ecosystem for these new experiences, which I don't think people have tuned into yet, and I'm excited about it still. And,
I agree as well. Sorry to cut you off. So I think I'm excited that shows up, right? So once you experience this thing, right, it is you don't want to look at 2D pictures. In my view, if you that is one distinct thing. Anytime I see a 2D picture, I say, oh, how would it look in a 3D and immersive, right? So once you start using it, you find your niche use case, you will see that the money you paid, maybe it's worth.
Yeah, and then consider that our avatars, our avatars could be in 3D, and that's a completely different experience. There's no reason why our avatars right now are 2D the way that we see it. It is actually a 3D image that has been
the
captured.
rendering is in 2D, but I think the image information is in 3D. Yes,
and then I mean, and these are the things that, again, going back to this, the comment that I made earlier, when you focus on the wrong thing, you undermine the product, because you don't sell on the virtues of the product or the experience. And so with that, hey man, this has been really cool. So unusual. And it's great to bring the Apple Vision Pro world together with the Samsung Galaxy XR world. This might be a first. I don't know if there's anything out there right now, but Prakash, thanks so much for your insight and your sharing. It's always a great debate. I love it when we get into a little fight here and there. Right,
that's the value, man. I mean, if we all agree on things, it's like kumbaya. Then what's the value, right? So
when you and I like to fight. But no, wonderful having you on. And so everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you want to find out more about Prakash's research, check it out at Tantra Analyst. He has his own podcast called Tantra Mantra. He covers all the hot topics in the industry and has some special guests who provide some great insights. And of course, make sure to subscribe to our podcast here at Next Curve, which is the Rethink podcast. We're featured on the Next Curve YouTube channel. Check out the audio version on Buzzsprout, or find us on your favorite podcast platform, and also subscribe to the Next Curve research portal at www.next-curve.com for the tech and industry insights that matter. Thank you so much once again, Prakash, and we'll see you next time in the metaverse.
All right. Yeah. It's very nice to see you, your metaverse avatar, and talk with my avatar, right?
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.